Stu, how are you?
Glenn, happy Friday.
Oh, and happy one it is.
Sure is.
Yeah, it really, really is. Boy, there's so much to talk about with ICE and with Antifa and everything that is going on. I think we are headed for an open war on our streets. I really do. The president has got to continue to do what he's doing. His popularity on what he's doing with ICE is through the roof. But we've got to investigate and start arresting Antifa members. We have to. Why are these people just left to just continue to do what they do all the time? Now, here's another thing, and I'm going to hit this once because it's a little overwhelming, but I just think you should know it. Since the debt ceiling was raised on July 3rd, the U.S. debt is up $410 billion just in the first 2 days. Let me say that again. We raised the debt ceiling, and the U.S. debt goes up $410 billion, almost $500 billion in 2 days. Now, this comes after the U.S. Treasury ended extraordinary measures, raising the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. We are in the midst of the U.S. largest crisis, largest one ever. Now, listen to this. After hitting the debt limit of $36.1 trillion in January 2025, Treasury began extraordinary measures to conserve cash. Last week, when Trump's big, beautiful bill was signed into law, the debt ceiling from $36.1 to $41.1 trillion. And what happened? In 2 days, up $410 billion, raised due to a technical process. Now, Stu, I don't want to get all technical here, but I think that debt ceiling going up and then us spending an additional $410 billion, I think that technical process, and again, if I'm too wonky, maybe you can explain it, is out-of-control politicians that are just spending too much. But maybe that's just me. Is that too technical? Is that too nerdy, wonky?
Yeah, you're in nerd world right now with that one, Glenn. People aren't going to understand it.
Yeah. So they were just doing what you do when you don't have the money. They were just moving bills around and paying what they absolutely had to until the debt ceiling was raised. And then when they did, they were like, whoo, because we were completely out of money. Now we can print some more. So now we are free to borrow a record $41.1 trillion in debt. Now, here's the part that kind of opens your eyes. To put this into perspective, at the start of 2020, the U.S. had $23.2 trillion in debt. In 2020, $23.2 trillion. Where are we now? Well, we just moved that debt ceiling up to $41 trillion because we're at $36.1 trillion. With the new limit, we will mark $17.9 trillion increase since 2020. That's a 77% increase in our debt. Have you thought of it this way? At our current pace, we're going to reach the new debt ceiling much sooner than expected. The Treasury posted a $316 billion budget deficit in May. That's the third largest in record. For the first 8 months of 2025, budget gap hit $1.37 trillion, the third largest in history. Over the last 12 months, the U.S. has borrowed $1.9 trillion, or $158 billion every month. That is half. This is half of the May levels, but let's take $158 billion to be conservative. U.S. current debt stands at 36.6. We are 4.5 trillion below the limit now. At our current pace, it will take us 28 months to hit that limit.
Jeez.
In fact, the debt ceiling crisis, it looks like it's going to hit us now every 2 years. the debt ceiling is hit faster than it can be moved. From June 2023 and October 2021 were the last debt ceiling crisis. The U.S. budget deficit is averaged 9% of GDP over the last 5 years, but over the last 12 months, the budget gap has hit 7% of GDP. That is higher than during 2001 or any of the 1980 recessions. We now spend $7.1 trillion, 24% of our GDP. We have a spending problem. That's our problem. We are issuing so much debt now, bond prices are falling and yields are rising. What does that mean? It means we're charging less and we're paying out more in interest. That's not going to help us. The U.S. spent a record of $1.2 trillion on interest expense alone. That's more than the total spending on defense, Medicaid, and the Veterans Program. At our current pace, we're set to see U.S. costs exceed $2 trillion within a matter of years. Over the next 10 years, the U.S. is projected to pay $13.8 trillion just in interest. For interest alone, this is not taxpayers. This is per person in the United States. For interest alone, we are now on the hook for $40,500 per person just for the interest. This is 4 times Social Security cash deficit in the next 10 years, 5 times the cost of 403 U.S. weather and climate disasters since 1980. 403 weather and climate disasters. It's the cost of 403 of those. Sorry, it's 5 times the cost of those since 1980. I just want to start there. Wake up to your situation. People are arguing about all of the wrong things right now, and we think we are skating, and we think that this just can last forever. It's not going to last forever. And then you add things on top of this, like what is happening with ICE. I don't know if you saw the video of the protester, some protester that was firing some sort of a weapon at a federal agent during the ICE raid at a farm in California. Let me play this. Cut 2, please. This is
Take a look
raid.
at this video right here. It appears a protester fired some kind of gun at federal agents. This happened this afternoon. It was a really chaotic scene at the time. A lot of smoke was being launched at the protesters. And again, it appears a protester fired back with that weapon. It looks like he fired at least a couple of times. We have not heard about any agents being hurt.
Mm-hmm. So we are entering a very violent, very, very violent time. First of all, let me talk about this particular raid. This was at a legal pot farm. Okay. I think we could probably, in the past, just done an hour on that. You know, oh, it's a legal pot farm. Okay. But forget about that. That's not a problem apparently anymore. It's being tended, this legal pot farm is being tended by illegals that are coming across the bar. Well, we don't want to hurt our farming community. I don't think of our farming community as pot farms, but maybe that's just me. Again, why get way down in those details?
Yeah, Glenn, this is just maybe an existential question here, but is it a legal pot farm if the workers are illegal?
Stu,
I'm getting
again,
deep. That
would be hour 2 of any past show that we have ever done together.
All right.
Okay. All right. So they go in and they're trying to bust the illegals. All right. What happens? Well, there starts to be protests. These protesters come. They start firing at ICE. ICE, has to put tear gas down. And now the illegals are running to save themselves. But who's running amongst this crowd? Apparently, a bunch of children. Now, I suppose those legal pot farms are providing a good education for those kids, probably has a pot farm daycare center for those kids so they can be out of the fields and, of course, not working with their parents because that would be underage labor. You wouldn't want that to happen in America. All of these people that have these bleeding hearts that say, "Oh, this is just so wrong." You're not even thinking anymore. You're not even thinking. You just see a video where you have kids running with their parents, children running from the fields of this pot farm. What were they doing there? Certainly that wasn't underage labor, was that? Because you'd be against that. Wouldn't you? Or are you? Or are you only against that if it's white children? I'm not sure. I'm confused. So you have the underage children and these bleeding hearts who are saying, we've got to let these people go. We got to let them just do what they do. Really? You mean work in the shadows? You mean engage in possible child labor? Okay. Possibly making what, $1 an hour? Yeah, no. That's really, really, really good. Then let's just let these protesters, and they're not protesters, they are terrorists now. We just let these terrorists get away with just firing guns at our ICE agents. Things are changing in America. Let's just look at the violence just in the last couple of weeks. You have the July 4th ICE ambush, which is what? ICE, 25 miles outside of the city of Dallas. They have a detention center. A coordinated, well-planned attack. Guys covered in black, in military gear. They come and they start shooting fireworks at the detention center. Then a few of them break off and they start spray painting the cars, which brings unarmed ICE agents out of the building to try to stop them from defacing the cars. They're unarmed. Well, this group has snipers in the woods, hiding in the woods. As soon as those unarmed agents come out, they start shooting them. Shot one of them in the neck. Thank God he's still alive. What do you call that? What do you call that? A revolutionary war? Terrorism? It's certainly not a peaceful protest. Neither was it yesterday. And meanwhile, we have congressmen who are actually trying to pass a bill in Congress right now saying that the ICE members can't wear masks. Well, you know what? When your bad guys stop wearing masks, when your people who are on the college campuses stop wearing masks, maybe we can live in a community and live in a society where our police officers don't have to wear masks. Don't give me this, oh, that's Gestapo stuff. By the way, the Gestapo never wore masks. They didn't care. This is the kind of stuff you see in third world countries. Oh, you mean like the riots on the streets? Yeah, it is stuff you see in third world countries. And you're dragging us into a third world country. And you know what? It's time. It's just time to say enough is enough. And I'm not saying take extraordinary measures. I'm saying, can our U.S. government, our FBI, our Department of Justice stop acting like every Bond villain I've ever seen? And here's what I mean by that. It's like you take these guys off the street and then you strap them to a table and you say, "Unser laser is going to cut your head in half." No, it's not going to. We all know it's not going to. Can we stop acting like Bond villains? Can we actually take care of the problem? Actually arrest these people, try them, and put them in jail. We need to start setting a few examples. Otherwise, this is going to continue to spiral out of control. More in just a second. First, let me tell you about our sponsor. Our sponsor is Rough Greens. Oh, boy. Let me guess. Your dog used to eat like a rabid wolf. I know, and then just stopped one day, kind of lost interest. You've tried every brand, you've tried every dog food you get your hands on, dry, wet, raw, homemade. Nothing worked. Now you're about 2 wasted cans away from cooking steak and letting the dog eat off your plate because the dog's got to eat. Turns out the problem might not be the food itself, but what it is missing. Dog food, as it's processed today, loses a ton of its nutritional value. Vitamins, probiotics, enzymes, all of it gone. Rough Greens fixes that. It's a nutritional topper that you sprinkle on whatever food your dog already eats or doesn't eat. And suddenly that dog food isn't just food anymore. It's a complete meal, and they love it. It's full of everything your dog needs to get back to that energy, shinier coat, happier belly. And yeah, picky eaters start chowing down again. I've seen it with my own dog, Uno. Upgrade your dog's food with Rough Greens. Call them at 214-ROUGH-DOG, 214-ROUGH-DOG, or go to roughgreens.com. Use the discount code BECK. That's RUFFgreens.com, discount code BECK. Call 214-ROUGH-DOG. Rough Greens, a healthy change for a changing dog. 10 seconds, station ID.
Glenn, you're mentioning the MELT Act, which is this bill in New York City that is going to ban masks on ICE
Except
agents.
for college students on college campuses, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. I mean, first of all, the risk of COVID-19, I'm very concerned about that.
Oh, very.
These poor ICE agents are, I mean, if you can't wear a mask outdoors, you're almost certain to die of COVID. I mean, we know that from the science, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But what could possibly be the reason to keep masks off of ICE agents other than to target them and their families personally? Can you come up with any coherent reason why you would need to do that? The only reason is they want, when these pictures are taken and we see these poor children running out of the marijuana fields, when we see that, you can identify them individually and then go harass them at their homes, harass their families, destroy their lives. That's it. It's the only possible reason. There's no other coherent reason why you would care.
Well, yeah, but they'll spin it the other way. Those are the bad guys. Those are the bad guys.
Right.
Those are the fascist pigs that have to die and pay for it.
That is what they are admitting. With this act. And that's a crucial thing. This is law enforcement we're talking about. These are people who are risking their lives on a day-to-day basis to enforce the law. You might not like the law. There's a lot of laws I don't like, frankly. But that doesn't mean you take that out on law enforcement. They are doing this. And these are the people who are praising individuals that go execute CEOs of healthcare companies, right? It's the same people.
Let me tell you, here's what's coming. Mark my words. Here's what's coming. Elon Musk has the satellite capability. Elon Musk has the electricity generation. He has the server farms. He has Optimus, and he has Grok 4. When our cities are in absolute turmoil, Elon Musk is going to step forward and say, let me give you these robots. They're more intelligent. They can figure out everything that is going on. They can record everything. They see everything. Let me just give them to your city to help out because you don't have police officers that will do the work anymore. That's how you get RoboCop.
Glenn Beck.
And it's coming to a country near you. Lear Capital, every time you see the turbulence in the world, the wars, the political chaos, the bank failures, the interest rate madness, people start buying gold. When I told you just a few minutes ago about our debt, if that wasn't something, if something inside of you said, the dollar's not going to last, something's wrong. You got to tie these things together. We're bankrupt. We're going bankrupt. And how does that happen? Over a very long period of time. And then all of a sudden, overnight, nothing but gold has held its value through recessions, regime changes, market crashes, and much worse than that. Gold has withstood the test of time. It is what the world has returned to every time since biblical days. Gold has gone up 40% in the last year. 40%. Central banks are buying record amounts of it. Demand is sky high. If you have a retirement account, a 401k or IRA, you can convert part of it into physical gold with Lear Capital. They make it simple. Just go to Lear Capital. Call them right now. Their number is 800-957-GOLD. 800-957-GOLD. Call them now.
Mercury1.org is the place to go to help with the floods in Texas and New Mexico. Mercury1.org.
My gosh. Welcome to the program. We're glad you're here. Oh, where should we start? Where should we start? By the way, I was watching a video from Microsoft, and you know how I told you yesterday they're going to be making new compounds. You know, Grok 4 is going to be able to make new compounds, make new chemicals. Things that we never even thought of, new alloys. Well, apparently, I missed this. A friend of mine sent me this video and said, "Hey, Glenn, it's already happening at Microsoft." Microsoft, at one of their big, unveiling parties, they showed a new tool that they're using to come up with new compounds and new alloys and everything else. And they showed the process, and you just type it in, blah, blah, blah. And they were looking for a new coolant to be able to spend high-speed computers in because, it's just too hot, it takes too much energy to keep them cool, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is the coolant is so bad for the environment. And so they went in and they used their new quantum computer and they typed in and said, "Hey, can you come up with something?" And they explained exactly what they were looking for. And it came up with a new coolant and said, combine these things together, and it will not be bad for the environment, and it'll keep everything cool. So what they did is they just did that. They didn't argue with it or anything. They just did what the computer said and then poured it into what looks like a giant fish tank and then dropped a computer into it with no fans, nothing. And it stayed perfectly cool without any fans or anything trying to keep it cool. Just a new chemical compound that they threw together through quantum computing. A problem they couldn't solve before. How do we keep it cool? Now they found it. I mean, it's already there. I mean, I think we are in for, I don't know if I told you this yesterday, Stu, as I was doing some more research. No, because you left yesterday up here. We didn't have a chance to talk, but I was doing more research on AI, and it is going so far ahead, so fast, that just 2 days ago, I thought we were going to be really far ahead of the game on things, and we still are going to be way ahead of the game. However, it's happening at such a rapid speed that I'm not sure if when we launch, it's going to be the latest, greatest. You know what I mean? It's moving so rapidly now. And the idea that I have for this project that I'm working on that will be, I'll tell you about it here in a couple of months, but the idea is to get you ready for a time when nothing makes sense. This is just to educate you, yourself, your family on principles and civic duties and the Constitution so you can be strong in the core. We were working on it last night on finding ways to be able to figure out, is that a deep fake or is this real? We want to provide you with the tools to be able to know the truth and then know them and learn them inside of yourself. And I'm looking at what is on the horizon and I'm thinking, we being ahead, we may be behind by January. And anybody who's not working on anything with AI, and I mean not seriously working on anything with AI, your company, you are going to find yourself out of business soon. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You have to pay attention to what is going on with AI and follow it and use it wisely. Use it with wisdom. Don't just go for the answer, the quick answer. Go to have it teach you so you can then have wisdom, because it's not really going to have wisdom. At least you don't know who's programming the wisdom behind it, and that's the real problem.
Yeah.
But anyway,
isn't it true, Glenn, that I'm sure you've, in all of your reading and studying on this, you've thought about this quite a bit, but it's like, isn't there like a weird thing with like an end date of human knowledge in a way, where like, if you have people who forever grow up, learn things, understand them, progress, they're building the infrastructure of thought, right? Like you're advancing thought, you're creating things, you're understanding things, you're going forward. And then at some point, if there's not human beings doing that because they're going to AI for everything, that process doesn't occur. And that's the process that trained AI. So does it?
It's the end of the expert class. Why go to school? Now, there's lots of reasons to go to school, and that go beyond just being the smartest person on the planet. But why go to school to learn any particular skill? Why go to be an expert? Why go and be the expert on history? What, so you can write books that nobody's going to read? Why be the expert that everybody looks to when you have just a fraction of the knowledge that Grok will have? I know I'm going to get a better answer from Grok than from you. So it is the end of the expert class, which is, in some ways, makes me very happy. However, be careful, because these AI systems will give you one answer. Like Google right now gives you page after page after page of answers, and everybody just goes to the top, but at least the other answers are there. This will give you one answer, and people will just take that as the gospel. And, you know, the idea is this should free you up to do a bunch of other things. And I know in my case, and, you know, you and I have been working on it this week, in our case, it is going to free us up to do so much more. And it will speed up the process of education and everything else. And it will be really, really good for a while. And then I think, you know, there's going to be the vast majority that are just going to be lazy on it. And it's going to watch you as much as you're watching it. And then what happens? Then what are you worth? Why did you go to school? You think people are upset that they can't get jobs now? Give it 2 years. When you go to school and you pay all this money, I'm telling you, college is damn near a total waste of money, especially the kind of education that you're getting, because you're not taught critical thinking. The only thing that should be taught now is how to think. How to think. But what they're doing is they're telling you what to think. Well, I can get that from Grok eventually. I'll get that from ChatGPT eventually. You know, you have to be taught how to think, because we're churning out these. I mean, most of our problems are caused because nobody knows how to think. Nobody's using critical thinking. Nobody's asking critical questions. You're not being taught that. Are you?
Yeah, because
that's the problem.
This is one of the issues I've noticed with AI and the way the average person uses it. It's not even that you ask it a question and it gives you one answer, right? Because as you point out, that's an obvious problem, because whoever's programming this, whoever's, garbage in, garbage out. If that one answer is bad, then everyone's just getting this one bad answer. But what I've noticed about people that in my life and friends and family who use this is they ask the questions in like a leading way. And what AI is really, really good at is coming up with some answer that will support the thing you're asking it. Like if I say, give me a good case as to why Glenn Beck is the next fascist dictator of the United States. There's not a good case to that. There's no argument.
May I tell you how it would answer you? Because this will make your point, because I've seen it over and over and over again. Wow, now that's getting to the heart of the question.
Right. Yeah, it compliments you. It glazes you before it gives you an answer that makes no sense.
Yes.
But it's smart enough to come up with an argument to support the thing that you want. So if you go on there and let's say you're a believer in some supplement, right, that has a questionable health benefit, right? If you go on there and you say, hey, my friend says, I don't know, tree bark won't make you cure cancer. Give me an argument. What's the best argument that it can? And it will give you the best argument that it can cure cancer, whatever that is. It'll come up with some justification. And like the way I use it, and I think the way you use it, Glenn, is the complete opposite of that. Give me the best argument against this thing that I want to believe, right? Like a lot of times I use it as like a devil's advocate. Well, am I not thinking this through fully? And that it's really beneficial because it'll bring up facts that you might not know or some angle you haven't thought of that will help strengthen your argument or maybe change it. But like that's not how I think the average person uses it.
Let me show you this. This is what we're churning out. And here's what happens when you don't know how to think anymore. And you haven't questioned, really, if you're a lawyer and you haven't questioned enough to really absolutely understand what the law even means. I'm going to play something. This is from 2016. It is in the U.S. Court of Appeals, the Ninth Circuit, and they're questioning a Child Protective Services lawyer about how her client, the social worker, could possibly think that perjury is acceptable. Now listen to this. Cut 35, please.
Yeah, it looks like we're having a technical issue with cut 35, Glenn. Of all the cuts, you've just picked the...
We're not trying the case. But how can a person in the shoes of your clients possibly believe that it was appropriate to use perjury and false evidence in order to impair somebody's liberty interest in the continued care, custody, and control of that person's children? How could they possibly not be on notice that you can't do that?
I understand the...
How could that possibly be?
I understand the argument that it seems to be common sense and our ethical...
It's more than common sense. It's statutes that prohibit perjury and submission of false evidence in court cases.
State statutes.
Are you telling me that a person in your client's shoes couldn't understand you can't commit perjury in a court proceeding in order to take somebody's children away?
Of course not, Your Honor.
Of course not.
Then isn't the case over then?
And the case is over.
Because
Costanich is distinguishable in my view. How in the world Costanich deals with a secondary care, foster care? That's a whole strange thing. It's not a person's real child.
Even if Costanich is...
And guardian's the same thing.
Even if Costanich is distinguishable, there is... Thus far, we have not been presented with any clearly established right that tells us that what our clients did, which is remove the children pursuant to a court order.
No, but what they're accused of doing and what the issue is here is committing perjury in a court to take away someone's children. And you just said that's obviously not okay to do.
According to our moral compass and our ethical guidelines, but what we're here to decide is the constitutionality of it, and we look to the courts.
You mean due process is somehow consistent with a government official introducing perjured testimony and false? How is that consistent? I mean, I hate to get pumped up about this, but I'm just staggered by the claim that people in the shoes of your clients wouldn't be on notice that you can't use perjury and false evidence to take away somebody's children. That, to me, is mind-boggling.
In criminal proceedings, we know this to be true because that...
No, criminal proceedings, it's a court proceeding with a liberty interest, a fundamental liberty interest at stake.
And on the reverse side, the state...
And you're telling us that these officials who do this all the time couldn't be on notice that you can't commit perjury and put in false evidence.
All this and more on the next episode of America's Worst Lawyers.
But that is the thinking now. That is what our schools are churning out. Well, that is a construct. We're here to decide if that construct even really exists other than in paper. And look at how many times have we seen people commit perjury in front of Congress, and it doesn't matter anymore. This is what our education system is pumping out right now, and it's only going to get worse unless you prepare right now and you start preparing your kids and educating them on on actual truth. There is universal, eternal truths. Lying is against all eternal truths. Lying to take away someone's children, if that attorney knew that that was happening, that attorney should be in jail. More in just a second. Sponsor of this half hour is Cozy Earth. For decades, people have tossed and turned. I mean, it's hot in the summer. My dad used to call it good sleeping weather when you could open the window, because you just lay there and you just sweat all night. People have looked for the perfect combination of cool, soft, and well-made, lasting sheets that don't cost a small fortune. They're a rare thing, but Cozy Earth has them. Their sheets are made from premium material that is unbelievably cool and breathable. They've got the kind of softness that makes you actually look forward to bedtime, and that's saying something, because I have always loved bedtime myself. Here's the part that gets you. They're really super luxurious, but not ludicrous. They're priced in a way that makes sense, which means you can be a sheet snob without being a crazy person. So if you care about sleep and you care about quality, this is your move. Get ready for cozy days. Don't miss a chance to score Cozy Earth's biggest discount of the year from today, July 11th, through the 13th. Head to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code Beck. Get 45% off their best-selling temperature-regulating sheets. Their apparel's really, really comfortable. Don't forget, this deal ends on July 13th. That's Sunday. For better sleep and a cooler summer, what's stopping you? Sleep cooler, lounge lighter, and stay cozy with CozyEarth.com.
Dumping DC's garbage while the swamp cries constitutional crisis. Beck is back after this.
We've talked about AI as a black hole. Like, you either, I guess, learn to manage it or risk being swallowed by it. And like it or not, that is something that we all have to deal with. The AI revolution is already here. We've talked about this hour. While we're not facing some sci-fi robot uprising yet, the speed of change is creating real risks. One of them is home title theft. And as AI advances faster than most people can keep up, criminals are already finding ways to exploit the confusion. With just a few tools, they can forge documents, they can fake identities, they can potentially transfer your home title without you even knowing. Everything seems normal until something suddenly is not, and by then it might be too late. It's a kind of threat that does not make headlines, but when it hits hard, and it's fixing it. That kind of comes in that category of just, oh gosh, you just want to go hide somewhere in a cave. That's why I use Home Title Lock. Their triple lock protection includes round-the-clock monitoring, instant alerts if anything is suspicious that goes on, and a US-based restoration team that will work to fix the problem at no extra cost to you. Protect your home before the damage is done. AI is changing the world. Do not let it change the name on your home title. Go to HomeTitleLock.com right now. Use the promo code Blaze. HomeTitleLock.com, the promo code Blaze. This is probably your retirement. It's your financial future, your financial legacy. HomeTitleLock.com. Protect it. Use the promo code Blaze.